All right. So listen, Rico, we got to talk about this because there are two different conversations that go on with the Detroit Tigers. One is about the long view, the rebuild, where are they? And then the other is just about what the hell's going on right now. And look, I don't care who you're playing, right? Like, I'm the first guy to tell you, they're playing the absolute garbage of the league right now. But to win 7 in a row in baseball, really hard to do. It's just really hard to do. You can go years without winning 7 games in a row. I wish they could play the Rangers every day because I don't care about record. The Rangers are the worst team I've seen in baseball all year. That lineup is a travesty. The point is, you just swept them out of your yard. And we need to have a conversation because I need to see where people are at with this. We'll get to Harbaugh at Big Ten Media Day a little later. We're going to get to Stevie Y Magic at 5:30. Why? Because he pulled off something that I think is really impressive today, and I need to know from Kenny Cott whether I'm just an idiot. But I like the move. But I want to ask a question about the Tigers. This 25-game stretch, they've got 10 games left. 3 more against the Twins, 3 more against the Royals, 4 against the Orioles. You are currently today 4 games under 500. And you know my rule. If you're under 500, I don't care about you. Once you get to 500, interesting. Now listen, it's still going to take a 7-3 stretch, which is really hard to do to get to 500. But the way they're playing, they play with confidence, they play together. You know, again, the 3 guys who hit home runs today, I don't think they have any future with the team. So it's hard for me to get excited. But guess what? Whether they have a future or not doesn't matter. Because if this team is 500 when the calendar hits August, I think it's okay to have a little fun. It's okay to talk about it and go, okay, what can they do? Look, you're not going to like my answer, but let's at least talk about it. You don't win 7 in a row on accident. You don't do it unless you play some level of good ball. And look, I've said this a couple of times, and I firmly believe it. I know that other teams have these wildly good records, and those are the guys that generally win Manager of the Year. But I would tell you for my money, dollar for dollar, I don't know why AJ Hinch is not being talked about more as AL Manager of the Year. This was a team that I think many thought would be as bad as the Orioles or as bad as the Rangers. They're nowhere close. In fact, since May 7th, they've been pretty good. Now, again, if you want to talk about winning in August and September, that's different. I don't want to go there. Let's just get to 500. I asked the question before Rico came back from vacation, and it was at the start of this stretch where they had just beaten the Rangers to take 2 out of 3. I think they beat up Kyle Gibson that day to win the series. And I said, okay, guys, 22 games. Can they go 15-7? And I said, yes, I think they can do that. Now, they proceeded to, as I went on vacation, lose 4 in a row to the Twins, meaning they needed to go 15-3. Well, what have they done since? 7-0. So they've got 10 more games against the junior varsity. And I'm not going to pick against them in any given game, A, because they're playing and they're brimming with confidence. You can tell they like each other. You can tell that AJ Hinch's message has sunk in. And innings limitations be damned, they're finding ways to get this done. So can they go out and get to 500 by August 1st? Yes, I think they can. I just wonder where you guys are at with it, because carrying it past that point, I really don't want to have that conversation, because then it puts a negative on a positive. Then you're going to put me into a place where I got to tell you things you don't want to hear, and you're going to cry like a bunch of babies, and I just don't feel like doing it. So my question is simple. With 10 games to go, now we update the chart. It's not 15-7 anymore. Can they go 7-3? And against these 10 teams, 10 games against this trash, I'm not going to pick against them to do it. Rico, I wonder where you're at with it. You don't win 7 in a row by accident. I don't care who you play. No. 248-539-9797. Rico, David, good afternoon, Rico Beard.
Well, Michael, you're correct. The fact that AJ Hinch is not looked at as Manager of the Year, they haven't gotten to 500. I think if he does, people will notice him. Right now, they're still a losing team. We notice it because it's happening right here in our own backyard. But when you look at the other teams out there and how good they're, you're not paying attention to this. And it'll probably take somebody nationally to say, hey, you know what? You may want to pay attention to what Hinch did in Detroit, because this team, well, basically the Tigers were supposed to be the Texas Rangers. The Tigers were supposed to be the get-right team, that when you played, that's how you got right. Just play the Tigers. We'll fix out the pitching. We'll get our hitting back on. We'll use them as batting practice. He's actually getting some. They're interesting. I think that's the best word that I could use for the Tigers. They're very interesting. It's not saying that they're great. It's not saying that they're good. Not even saying that they're average. But they're just interesting to watch, because you kind of start seeing, could Hinch, maybe it's a perfect storm. You lucked into getting Hinch because he was just sitting out there hoping that somebody picks up the phone and call. Maybe he is making the best out of a bad situation, but you're right. To win 7 games, you don't get to pick who's on your schedule.
No, and I don't think you get to 12 games or whatever it is, excuse me, over 500 over the course of 2 months without playing some good ball. I mean, look, I can separate the two. I don't know if the average fan can. I can separate my thoughts on the rebuild and my thoughts about the roster and then just look at what's going on right now. Dude, he's the manager of the year. No one's doing more with less. And it's not like Matthew Boyd's carrying the mail. It's not like Turnbull's carrying the mail. It's not like Torkelson and Green are up here. This is a collection of largely, no disrespect to anybody, undesirable baseball players. When you're out here and in a given day, you've got the Will Castros and Eric Haas's and the Robbie Grossmans. Those are not long-term solutions. But while they're here, this collection of players with this staff, they're buying in whatever he's selling. And it reminds me of look, man, they tripped into Jim Leland. Didn't Leland bomb out of Colorado? And then they called him up and you're like, wait, Jim Leland just took the Tigers job? And then, yeah, they got lucky with a few players. They turned this thing around pretty damn quick. Now, again, I don't know that that's in the offing here, and I want to focus on right now. But I want to know if the people, as we get to August, football's not here yet, if you can get to 500, I'll actually talk about you in some different terms, because that's the point where Rico knows me. Like, I'm not going to waste my time with a sub-500 team. Now, maybe if you were sub-500 and it was all the kids carrying the mail, that's different. But mostly it's, Mize 3 innings, Scooble 4 innings. You don't have your big prospects up here. This is kind of like Major League. No, you don't have Pedro Serrano on the team, but none of these guys are really that valuable to anybody else. No, it's the truth. I mean, Jonathan Scope doesn't have some great trade value. Robbie Grossman doesn't have some great trade value. I don't think anybody wants most of your players. But they're here. They're all fighting for their professional lives. And over the course of a couple of months, they've played some pretty damn good ball.